Friends, Dave Paulides, CanAm Missing Project, and that is our executive producer, Hawk. She's in a very good mood today. She says, I'm going to start crocking the whip on you, Dad, if you don't really behave yourself and work hard. And I said, hey, you have Huck TV. You're worldly known. Come on, dog. But she's happy. And we've been playing around, running around the house, acting like a crazy girl. So she goes, Dad, thanks. You're welcome, Huck. Yes, a good girl. Yes, a good girl. Okay, too good girl. Scratch me, Dad. Scratch me. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're a good girl. Yeah, you're a good puppy. Yeah, I know you like that. Oh, yeah. That feels good, doesn't it? Yeah. You just like me to love on you all the time, don't you? You're a good girl. Yes. Oh, nice, John. Nice, John. Okay, friends, we're going to get going on this. First of all, thanks for being here. And got a few updates for you. So the Kickstarter campaign is officially over. But apparently, I didn't even know this. If you go to Kickstarter.com and you look under national parks, as long as we have contribution reward levels available, up to 15 days after the ending of the campaign, you can continue to donate. And I know we have many awards still available at the different levels. So you can still jump in. Kickstarter.com, Missing 411, National Parks. Oh, it's going to be made. Oh, yes. And we've already gotten into it a little bit. Putting the team together now. I like the way things are coming together on it. I think it's going to be an excellent movie. Now, within the last couple months, I've had a couple unusual cases. Unusual in the context that if you didn't, unusual in the context that if you didn't understand Missing 411, you'd say, yeah, it's a strange disappearance, but it really doesn't mean anything. But if you've read Missing 411, A Sobering Coincidence, you'll know right away. You know, something weird is going on. Now, several years ago now, I did a case on a young man named Ryan Schutka. 20 years old, went missing February 17th, 2018 at 2 o'clock in the morning. And he was walking from a party back to his home at a place called Sun Peaks Resort. It was a ski resort northeast of Kamloops in British Columbia. He was a chair operator. He disappeared. It was a strange case because it happened in the middle of the night. Point of separation. Canines could never pick him up. Etc., etc. Standard protocol. And a lot of people said this case I'm going to talk to you about today matches the Schutka case. I don't think so. But I still think it qualifies as a 411 case, and I think it matches another case that I'll tell you about. Just because it's a ski resort case doesn't mean it matches another ski resort case. I've done several disappearances at ski resorts. This young man doesn't match Schutka. Schutka was working at the resort. He wasn't a student. He wasn't an athlete. He wasn't in school. He was working. I think that's a profile difference that I'll explain to you in a little bit. Now, the case I'm going to talk to you about today has to do with a man named Liam Toman. Yes, Liam was 22 years old. Went missing February 2nd of this year, 2025, just a couple months ago, at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday to Sunday morning. He was a resident of Ontario, Canada, and he disappeared at the Tremblant ski resort, kind of northwest of Quebec. I'm sorry, northwest of Montreal in Quebec. He was a college graduate. Graduated from Niagara College in May 2024. And he loved skiing, golfing, hanging out with friends. And his dad made a joke saying, and he really loved to cook as long as he could barbecue his own steak. I could appreciate that. His parents were divorced. He had he had a stepbrother that lived in his house with him. And he and two friends planned a ski trip to Mont Tremblant. Now, February 1st is a Saturday, was the first day of them skiing. It was clear day. It was beautiful. They had some pictures taken of them together. I'll show you a picture of Liam. Wasn't a troublemaker. Parents described him as social. Always kept in touch with him. When I explained a talk I had with Ben, he was playing hockey locally, and I knew he was going to go outside the state because he was too good. He had to go outside the state. And on one of the last nights he was with me before he went out of state, we had this talk, and I said, Ben, we live in an evil world. A lot of bad things out there. If I call you, just promise me one thing. That you'll pick up, or you'll call me back as soon as you can afterwards. Don't ignore me. There's reasons I call sometimes, but I need to know you're okay, because I worry about you because I love you so much. And I looked him right in the eye. I said, you got to promise me this. And he put his hand on my shoulder. He said, Dad, I promise. And you know what? He always did. And there were a few times where I was scared. But his coaches told his team members that you guys stay together. You take care of each other. You're brothers in this. And they did. And the story I'm telling you tonight, or today, has to do with staying together, looking out for each other, being the wingman for each other. Well, they skied February 1st. That was a Saturday. Great day of skiing. They came back to their room, and they didn't get out to have dinner until late. And the first place they went is they had pizza. After a day of skiing, there's nothing better than pizza, I'm telling you. Good pizza. And then after that, the guys went to this place called the Petite Caribou Bar. Probably one of the most popular bars in town. Now, let me tell you about this place. I've skied since I was 6 years old. I've been to many ski resorts in North America. And many of them in Canada especially, they have, well, even Colorado too, Vail, Beaver Creek, they have an area that's blocked off so cars can't get in. And it's like a social area where there's businesses, predominantly food, right around the base of the ski area, and you can walk back and forth, and there's no cars. It's beautiful. It's great. It's the way it is at this resort. Hotels, food, etc. This town isn't exceptionally big. It sits on a lake, Lake Tremblant. I've never heard of this resort before. When I saw the map, I swallowed real hard. There's swamps around this area. There's ponds and a big lake. Well, The resort itself, it's 90 minutes from Montreal, 81 miles away. It sits on Lake Tremblant. They call it a year-round resort in the Laurentian Mountains of Quebec. Best known as a ski destination, and they said in the summer Lake Tremblant is really good for swimming. And the region has 2 golf courses. The ski resort had been recently updated, and they now had some high-speed quad chair. It's 600 acres in size and has 102 ski trails. When I looked at it, it's not a big mountain. It's not like skiing in Colorado or California where you got some big mountains. It's just kind of almost reminded me of a little hill, but that's Quebec. Liam knew the area really well. How's that, Dave? Because he had worked 2 summers at the Treetop Echo Park just outside the city. Now, Liam was described by family and friends as very sociable, friendly. He liked being around people. Well, at 3:16 a.m., now it would be the morning of February 2nd. You know, they went out on the 1st. Now it's Sunday morning real early. He had been texting his family all through the night while he was at the bar and eating. Hey, you know, we're having fun, blah, blah, blah. Well, 3:16 a.m., his dad gets a text and it says, meet me outside. His dad goes, that's not meant for me. That's meant for one of his friends that he's with. That was the last text anybody heard from Liam. So he was outside the bar. Here's the lake I was telling you about. This is the downtown area. It's not very big at all. This is the bar they were drinking at, and this is the hotel where he was at. Maybe 400 or 500 feet between these 2 locations. This yellow in area, it's all area you can't drive. The dark gray, you can drive. Small gray are paths. So all of this area through here is walking only. He was at the La Petite Caribou drinking. Steps outside, texts his friends. What's outside? Well, there's a big pond right there. And you got the lake. And down in this area, there's a bunch of swamps. The ski resort is over here. On a bigger map, this is the place that we're drinking. Here's the lake. Here's where he was staying. And then the ski resort is right here. And right over in this area, there's some ski in, ski out condos. So it's this typical ski run kind of community right at the base of the mountain. So he texts his friend, hey, come on out. His friend doesn't come out. So Liam stays outside and he's talking to people, being friendly. No issues, no problems, no fights. Everyone's having fun. But right here, right now, what you have is point of separation, right? So Liam hangs out for a while, and then he walks to the hotel. Quick walk. Told you, several hundred feet, you're there. Gets to the hotel, but he doesn't go in. Nobody understands why. But people commented that on the sidewalk, around the bar, around the hotel, even at 3 o'clock in the morning, a lot of people are out moving around. It's young people saying, stay out late, have fun. Hey, I get it. But there's a lot of people on the walking paths. He's seen in front of his hotel for a short period of time, doesn't go inside. There's no footage of him ever going inside. but he's seen walking around the side of the hotel on another walking path where there's no vehicular traffic. His phone was last pinged in this area at 3:20 in the morning. Get it so far? Well, you're his buddies, right? 6 o'clock the next day, they hadn't seen their friend. So they call his stepbrother. They said, hey, we haven't seen Liam. Have you heard from him? No. Let me call my mom and dad and find out. Calls mom and dad. No. What does mom and dad do? The right thing. They call the police in town and report Liam as a missing person. That was at about 6:30 p.m. that same night. That would have been Sunday night. There'd been no activity on his bank account or credit cards. His phone hadn't been used, and the last ping was at 3:20. By 7 o'clock Sunday night, the police had set up a command post. And they were in search mode. Let's stop right there. Now, so it had only been maybe an hour or two that they'd been notified, and they were already into this search mode. I got to give it to them. I've heard a lot of crappy things about Canadian police. In this town, they did the right thing. Well, that search goes into the night. They don't find anything. They talk to his friends. The next day, February 3rd, they come out with 100 officers. And they have a police helicopter fly in with FLIR. And that helicopter goes up into the mountains, into the lakes, over the ponds, and they're looking everywhere. And that's the way FLIR should be used. And then the police did something. They didn't have to do it, but I admire them for doing it. In these towns, they have to clear the parking lots of all the snow. And there's giant piles of snow in the corners of these parking lots. They took out all these piles of snow and searched them and got rid of the snow. That's a good search. They brought in specialized canines, and they were given Liam's scent. They couldn't find him. And then they had snowmobiles, and they were searching trails, roads, beaches. They weren't finding anything. Well, at this point, Liam's parents are flying in fast and getting involved. They're on the search within days. Father said that he saw footage of Liam leaving the bar, talking to people in front. Said it just seemed like Liam, normal, no antagonism, no arguments, no problems. Once parents got there and the police realized the type of person that Liam was, they kept searching. What they did was, in that downtown area, between the bar and the hotel, they contacted every business and they pulled CCTV footage. And then they started to expand out. And they went to a 500-meter radius from the outskirts of the city to keep looking. I think it's a little weak on that. Should have went out to 2 miles from that perimeter, at least. But the parents stayed for 11 days. The search by the police went on for 6 days. Now, during that 6 days, they also knocked on every door in that area, asking if they'd seen anything, heard anything, they'd been there that night, etc. The parents had posters made up with the help of the police, and they passed them out. And the parents went to every hotel, every business in that city, asking if they'd heard anything, seen Liam. You know, passing out posters seems like a monotonous job. And truthfully, I can't say that I ever remember many cases where a poster found anybody. But it breaks down that barrier between you and the people you're talking to. Hey, this is my son. He's missing. People will show compassion and empathy. I've never heard of anybody getting angry because you approached them and asked them questions. Well, the police also went back to the hotel. They searched the hotel where Liam was staying at, even though they didn't see him going in. Searched their rooms, common areas, talked to the staff, who was on duty at 3 o'clock, 3:20 in the morning. Had they had any problems? And you got to understand this community. It's like all resort communities. Crime kills a resort. What do I mean by that? Once a resort gets notoriety for having crime, nobody wants to go there. You want to go to a resort, let your hair down, have fun, relax, have a few beers, and not worry about getting rolled on the way back to the hotel. That's the way this place is. Safe, generally really safe. No problems. Of course there's problems. There's always going to be problems when people are drinking. And a lot of ski resorts, there's drugs used by some people that live in that area. Of course, I understand that. But it's not a big crime haven. So you see him walking across the side of the hotel. Areas searched repeatedly. Nothing's found. After 6 days, the police meet with the parents. They explain, hey, we've searched. It's the same talk I've talked to you about before. They sit down, they explain to the parents, this is where we've searched. There's a map of the city. We've gone over this area, this area, this area. We don't, I can almost guarantee the words. I don't know where else we could search. Mr. and Mrs. Toman. I don't know what else we could do. And then they're waiting for you to say, yes, I understand, you've done a good job, and then that's they're out and they can quit. 6 days, little light on the search there, gentlemen. Normal, 7 days. Extreme, 10 to 12 days. 6, a little light. But let me say this now. Well, let's go on a little bit. March 22nd. Now, he disappeared February 2nd. March 22nd. An employee of the resort, that's what they said, is out walking around the outside of the hotel, comes across a wallet, and turns it over to the resort security. They call the police. They identify the wallet as belonging to Liam. They never said exactly where they found the wallet. They never said what was in the wallet. But they did say it was his. And that started a whole new search of that area. Police came in, dozens of them, canines, and they searched the area again. Now remember, the area was already searched. They said, oh, this was found because the snow had melted. What? What? Okay. So they're going to attribute this showing up now because of the snow. Okay. Well, they searched the area again for 2 days. It's found in the morning on March 22nd. They searched that afternoon, and they searched the next day, so a day and a half. Parents also had sent divers into ponds, swamps. They didn't say that they used side scan sonar on it. Mistake. I'm sure they would have said it if they had done it, but they never said they did. Big mistake. They had 100 searchers in total back in that area, walking, grid search, ATVs, specialized ground pounders from Quebec Search and Rescue. Nothing. Nothing. They got nothing. So how many times have I told you that a giant search, police find nothing, and then days later, a private citizen finds something? Happens a lot. I don't understand that. And I'm not indicting searchers because they do a fabulous job. Oftentimes, searchers are out looking and they find the most minuscule little things that you just don't think people would find. So it almost has to tell me that thing wasn't there when they were looking. Just my guess. The police came out and they held a press conference. And they said that there's no evidence of foul play, but they're not ruling it out. No evidence of foul play, but they're not ruling it out. Okay. So are they handling the case as a major crime case? Or they turn it over to missing persons and is sitting on the desk somewhere gathering dust? They didn't say. How many of you have read Missing 411, A Sobering Coincidence? I talk about this book a lot because I know what's happening, folks. The profile for the cases in that book. Number one, college-aged or young 30s. White male. Out drinking with friends. Point of separation from friends. Stop. He could have been in my book. Liam could be in my book. I'm telling you. Let me show you this map again. He's drinking here. He's staying here. He obviously got past this pond because he was seen walking around the side of the hotel into this area with no vehicular traffic, but he never went in the hotel. Now, why didn't he go in the hotel? Water, and down in here, swamps. Canines can't pick up a scent. March 22nd, his wallet's found. There's tons of cameras all over this area. No suspicious activity picked up. In every case, it's that way. No crime scene located. Well, Dave, what do you mean by that? Well, no torn clothing. You get in a fight, sometimes your shoes come off. No blood anywhere. Kind of get what I'm saying? He wasn't hit by a car. Because the last place he was at, there were no cars involved. No cars allowed. Key point, made by several individuals, is that there's a lot of people on the walkways out there that time of the morning. So, Liam was young and healthy. If he had been attacked, he would have fought. Would have been sounds. And then what do you do with the body? You start dragging a body away and people see that? That's very high risk. Massive search by police. No evidence recovered by the police. Wallet found by the resort worker. So now you're the police investigator. What are the choices as to what happened here? Number one, let's just say, I don't believe this, but I'm just giving you the choices. You got to think outside the box. He wanted to drop out of society, drop out of the world he was in, and take off. Live on his own, away from everyone. At 3 a.m, cold outside, when he never touched his credit cards, doesn't have his wallet, and didn't take his car. Why, if you wanted to do that, would you text your buddies and say, meet me outside? You wouldn't. You'd just go outside the bar and keep walking. But he didn't. Other choice. He wanted to take his own life. Like I said, I don't believe any of these, but I'm throwing them all out there. He's a very social guy. He was talking to people outside before he disappeared. He texted his buddies. He had a great day skiing. He just ate a whole pizza. He was inside the bar. Not the behavior of someone that wants to take their life. And he had no mental illness. Recent college grad, he had his whole life in front of him. Chances of this? 0.0. Criminal activity, strong arm robbery. Strong arm robbery means you're walking down a sidewalk and you're jumped by two guys, you're beaten into submission, and they take your wallet and watch. Too many people on the sidewalks. No significant crime of this type in the area. Like I said, no blood, no torn clothing, no screaming or yelling heard by anybody. Nobody is dragging a body away down a pathway where there's people walking. The risks are huge. Another choice. He's drunk. He doesn't know where he's going. He's out of it. He stumbles into the water and drowns. That's what they try to tell me on these other cases. One big problem. There's zero evidence, that Liam was intoxicated. Nobody ever even implied that when they saw him come out of the bar and talk to people. His friends never said he was intoxicated. No evidence he was intoxicated. So I can't find anything that fits. But hold your taters. There is one case to me recently that does match this. Riley Strain from Nashville. Now Riley was with friends from his college that went into Nashville to have a fun weekend of drinking and stuff. Now, I saw Riley's footage of him walking down the street, and he didn't look drunk to me. He wasn't stumbling, fumbling. But other people said he maybe had too much to drink, but that's irrelevant. So he gets kicked out of a bar, supposedly he's drank too much. Point of separation between his friends. And then he's walking around on the sidewalks in Nashville, and they lose sight of him. Point of separation. That keeps coming up, folks. Riley was away from his friends, walking alone through a downtown area. Nobody sees Riley head for a river, take off his clothes, and jump in. Now, we've all been a little tipsy at times, maybe. And there's been a couple times in my life where Dave has been really tipsy. But friends, never in my life did I think about taking off my shoes in a strange city and jumping in a high-flowing river just for the heck of it. Yet remember, I wrote a whole book, and there's nothing but these cases. So what's going on? Did Riley say, oh, I want to take a swim? I don't think so. That dog don't hunt. I'm just saying. How and why these young men get into the water is not logically answered by anyone I've ever heard, under any circumstances. But when you start to think about Liam's case, if the search was as thorough as the police implied, what other choices left? If he's not on the land, what is left? Water. Now, it's April. Maybe in another month, the water will heat up enough. If there was a body in the water, it would come to the surface. It's still too cold. But the better question is, and I've asked it a million times, why would a body be in the water? And I've told you before, back when Ben was playing hockey and I had written the book, A Sobering Coincidence, a coroner from a huge jurisdiction called and said, Dave, would you please talk to me? I know your son's playing in my city. Could you come out and meet me? I'd like to talk to you. Of course. I sit down and meet the head coroner for this huge jurisdiction. This woman was brilliant. And she said, Dave, somebody else told me to listen to you. And you're right. We have big questions. How did these people get in the water? Many times we can't determine the cause of death. And Dave, we are scientists to figure this out. And when we can't figure that out, there's a problem. We talked for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Then she said, Dave, I want you to come to this coroner's conference and make a presentation on what you found. And I want you to talk about GHB, strangely found in a lot of these bodies, and we don't understand how it got in. I said, I'd be glad to. Well, she solicited the coroner's conference, and for whatever reason, they didn't want me to speak. That's fine. But if you're in government and you work for a coroner's office somewhere, put GHB on that list of mandatory drugs that you search for in bodies. GHB. Because in a high propensity of cases of these type, first of all, GHB is not on a standard 24 drug screening. It's not. The only way it's been found in the past is on secondary autopsies done by parents. And when they screen for 100 drugs, they find the GHB in there. Everyone goes, oh, wow. I didn't think about testing for that. It should be on the standard 24 drug screen. But it's not. Every time they test for more drugs in a body, it costs more money. In order to keep their costs down, they eliminate drugs. That's just the way our life is, folks. Now, I pray, I really do, that Liam just wanted to drop out of the world for a while. And then he's going to come back. And he's staying with some friends in the area. That would make his parents the happiest people in the world. That would make me ecstatic as well. I've given you the facts on the case to the best I could find out. And when you make your, one thing I would ask is that when you make your comments on these cases, some of you are too blunt. Oh, you know, it's another drunk kid, blah, blah, blah. Well, friends, a lot of times, friends and relatives and parents read these cases and read the comments. So be a little more sensitive about how you put those on. The ones I think are really too blunt, I just get rid of them. But I don't like doing that. I would rather have everybody just be concerned for one another and write it like those parents who are watching over your shoulder. Say what you need to say. but do it with a sense of style and concern and empathy. I thank you for being here. I care about each one of you. And kindness. Kindness is free. It doesn't cost us anything to be kind. And if you can't find it, exude it yourself. When you're around, especially support workers, clerks in grocery stores, waiters, waitresses, etc. Be upbeat, be friendly, treat them kindly, show them that they're appreciated. I thank you for being here. Huck thanks you for being here. Paulides out.